Well, hello students. This is Coach Holliday. Let me officially welcome you to the Flip Classroom. As we go through this lesson, if you need to pause and rewind, go ahead and do that, or if you need to pause while you write something down, go ahead and do that also. At the end, if there's something you didn't understand, you can always go back and rewind and listen to that part again, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about relations, domain, and range. The first thing is we're going to talk about what a relation is. A relation is simply a set of ordered pairs. Each one has an X and a Y. That's what an ordered pair is, okay? And they can be expressed in 4 different ways. As ordered pairs, as a table, as a mapping, and as a graph. Alright, let's talk some specifics about relations, okay? In your relation, you have your X's and your Y's. The domain is the set of all of those, let me fix my pen here, of all of those X coordinates in your relation. That's what your domain is. And we'll look at how do we write that a little bit later. The second thing is the range. The range is a set of all the Y coordinates. So the X coordinates are your domain and the Y coordinates are your range. Now a function, what's a function? A function is a relation in which none of the first coordinates repeat or no X's repeat. So each X has exactly one Y. No X's repeat. Alright, I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so now let's get some practice using the different representations of a relation. The first one is, I've got a graph here for you, and we're going to take that graph and we're going to write ordered pairs from that graph. Okay, so the first one, let's look at the first point. It's negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and positive 1. So we're just going to write as negative 5, positive 1. The second ordered pair is negative 1, 2, 3, negative 2. The third ordered pair is negative 2, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry. So negative 2, negative 5. And then we'll do this one. That one's at 0, 0. So that one's easy. That's called the origin, if you'll remember. This point is 2, 2. And this point is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And our last point is at 5, negative 2. Okay, so we've written those ordered pairs to represent the relation. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to write these into a table. In the table, we're going to put all of the X coordinates in the left-hand column, all of the Y coordinates in the right-hand column. Okay, so this one, if you remember, was negative 5, 1. So we'll just go negative 5, 1. This one was negative 3. 0, 0. Then I had 2, 2. Then I had 4, 6. And then we had 5, negative 2. Now if you'll notice, do any of the X values repeat? If you notice that they don't repeat, so therefore, and we'll get to this a little bit later, we want to think about, is this a function, okay? Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to write this in what we call a mapping. Alright, a mapping, all I do is list my X's over here in the left-hand column, and then I'm going to together. 2 and the 2 go together. The 4 and the 6 go together. And the 5 and the negative 2 go together. Okay? Now, if there was one of these points that had the same y, then you'd have 2 arrows going to that y. Or if there was 2 points that had the same x, then you'd have 2 lines coming from that x. Okay? So that's our fourth way to represent. So we represented, we had our table to start with. We had our ordered pairs. We had our table. And then we had our mapping. Alright? Now what we want to do is we want to list the domain and the range of these of this relation. Alright? So let me fix my pen here again. The domain, I'm going to write domain equals, and I'm going to put it inside set brackets since it's a set. I'm going to list these in order from least to greatest. So it's -5, -3, -2, 0, 2, 4, 6. And then, I'm sorry, that was a 5, not 6. Alright? And then I'm going to list my range the same way. I'm going to put those from least to greatest. So my smallest one was -5. My next smallest one was -2. My next smallest one was 0. Then 1. Then 2. And then 5. That's right, it's a 6. Then 6. Alright, now we want to say, is the relation a function? Well, we saw that every x has only one y. If I go to this x, it only had one y, and the easiest way is to look back at the order, maybe the ordered pairs, and notice in here that when I look at each of the x's, I look at that x, all those ordered pairs, and none of those x values are repeated. I do have y values that are repeated. Those two y values are repeated, but that doesn't matter. It's only if the x values are repeated, okay? So, is it a function? We would say that it is a function. And the reason why, no x value is repeated. Okay, easy as that. Okay, let's work through a couple of exercises now. Okay, I've given you this relation, and we want to know what the domain, what the range, is it a function, and if it is, why. If it's not, why not. So the domain, we're just going to list all the x's, and we're going to list them from least to greatest. So there's the first one, -4. There's the next one, -2. There's the next one, 1. And you'll notice that's repeated again. And then the last one is 2. Right, since we saw, right now I can answer a question, since we saw that that one's repeated in the domain, we know automatically that it's not a function. Why? Because 1 is repeated in the domain. Okay, now let's write the range. Alright, fix my pen here again. The range is just all those y values. The smallest one is -3. The next smallest one is going to be 5. The next smallest one is 6. And I have 8. And then I have 9. Okay? So there's that one. It doesn't matter if any of the ranges repeat. It only matters if the domain repeat to determine if this is a function. Okay? Now I want you to look at the next example, and I want you to see if you can figure this one out itself. Okay? So just take a moment, work through this, and then when you get ready, go ahead and start the video back. Okay, so if you'll look over these answers, if you'll notice that this 2, the x that's 2, has two y values, 12 and -3. So that's why it's not a function. The 2 is repeated in the domain. So check those and see how you did. Alright, if you'll go ahead now and complete the WISC, the WSQ document, have that ready for class when you come tomorrow. And hope you have a nice evening, and we'll see you in class tomorrow.